Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome back to our live Q&A coming here on Michelle Yardley's YouTube channel every Tuesday morning where we are on the west coast of Canada. And where are you all tuning in from? Hello, Adele and Ricky. Lovely
Terra
to
by
see you.
Lupo.
Terra by Lupo.
Hi,
The
everyone.
UK. Yeah, Electrical Girl.
Hello.
Welcome.
Greetings. Thank you all for being here. We're using a brand new deck, so I've cleared, and I'm just doing the final clearing with all of your energies present.
I guess we were feeling this morning, it's such a busy time, isn't it? And with all that's going on as a result of the inauguration speech and Trump taking office, there's just so much in the back channels. There's so much, information flying around, and it just happens to arrive for me on a very, very busy day because I have to leave a little early today because I'm doing filming with Coco at Beyond Mystic, doing production of my dream analysis course that I've been working on very intently for the last couple of weeks. So it's a wild time inwardly and outwardly. I look forward to sharing the links to that course because it's going to be out sometime in the middle of next month. So yeah, that's our world. And we thought, let's come in fresh with a new deck and maybe some fresh big picture perspective on what's going on. I see that you have questions already coming in. So let's start with Ricky's question. Looks so relevant and important. When will the humanitarian funds become available for people like myself that want to establish humanitarian projects? Thank you, Ricky.
Beautiful.
So we see that this long-awaited shift in how we are going to be working with finances and the allocation of resources and funding with this new Trump administration has got us all feeling really hopeful. And while Crystal's shuffling on this, I just want to mention that what I've seen in the cards over the last 3-4 years around this exact question is that there's actually been money allocated and waiting in different pockets. I don't mean individuals' pockets, I mean organizational pockets for us to access in the way of grants and subsidies, and that people have been waiting for the big shift with the Trump administration to receive these deposits for the humanitarian funds. And I've been seeing that they've already been going into certain places that we could access them from. So the message I've more or less been getting over the last 3 years is we need to start the projects and start applying with what's available to us. And that in a way, it puts us right at the front of the line, because consider this narrative for a minute, everybody. If you were leading some kind of big movement or revolutionary shift for humanity, would you just put money into everybody's accounts, like large sums of money? There would need to be, it could be more damaging than helpful to go about it that way. So what I was being shown is that it's almost this, it behooves us to take responsibility for getting these projects underway, starting them to the best of our ability, developing real business plans, and even looking at things like partnership business collaborations and stuff like that, starting to live the new economy as if it's happening now on a very small scale. And this is how my family have operated from the get-go. It's all about weaving relationships. It's all about building trust in our communities, so I've watched this phenomenon over the years, and I'm going to be doing a course on developing intentional communities and co-ops and collectives and foundations and so on. It's like the phenomena is often that people wait for, first of all, the money, and then they try to just go and build it all by themselves. And it often ends up being a very frustrating experience. So the money is not the thing that's stopping us from instigating these projects. It's our invitation to step forward in a small way, start building a relationship in the community and your extended community, and then create some serious business plans so that when the funds are there, you're ready to go and you've already started the process. Okay, that's my rant.
Yeah, I love what you're speaking to. And Ricky says, when will the humanitarian funds become available for people like myself that want to establish a humanitarian project? I'm so curious, Ricky. Already doing humanitarian work by sending healing energy into the earth. Yes. So I'm curious as to if you're finding other humanitarian people like yourself that are aiding you in establishing this project. It takes a village to do these big things, as Mom is talking about. So I've shuffled on that, and then I'll get you to either shuffle or cut into 3 piles.
I'll shuffle a little bit more.
Okay.
And so this really is just about like how cool. I think the offer of these funds has got us all inspired creatively, and that's the biggest gift of all. Where and when the money comes is almost secondary.
It is important to follow the money too, though.
Yep.
Because as we discovered in, oh, thank you, Adele. Yeah, we're like, let's bring the sunshine into the yellow background here. When we discovered in a lot of our visioning is that sometimes it does help to begin with addressing the root, which is the money and the security, and then working forward from there. So there's 2 sides to that as well in terms of the focus. Projects begin with the right people. Exactly, Mary. So,
whoa, that is the big, oh, okay.
She's on fire already, folks.
This is the big.
Let's give them a bigger view of what's big here. Yeah, right. There we go.
This card, the 10 of Pentacles, is the big money card. It is the card that often relates to money that is not, we didn't earn the money. It comes either from inheritance or often from project funding. It can be investors, but it can most often be things like government subsidies, pensions, and so on. So subsidies, grants, and pensions are often associated with that. Now, because this position in the layout is us, where we come in, we already are coming in with that. That money's been sitting there, is what I've been getting for a while now. And almost like people who had the initiative to start things and access funding already got funding from this pot. Are you getting what I'm saying, folks? It's like, I think it's been there for probably a couple of years at least. So this is that thing where you talk to people that look for grants and subsidies and so on, and they say, well, if you go looking, you can find them. And you can say, yeah, but that was under the Biden administration, and that was like this totally other slant, and that was like the money that was coming from these other places, and we don't want part of that. I think it's really important to see, as we are acknowledging, maybe the Biden administration wasn't running things, and if we are going with the narrative that it's all a show, that money has already been there. And so what do we do? It's actually not about when is it going to get released, because my suspicion, Ricky, is it's not going to just get released like, okay, everybody, you want to do a project? Jump in, because we're discovering and have learned over years of setting up businesses and getting involved in projects, the ones that you just say, you get the money and then you do the project, I don't know how to say it. It's just a little bit fraught with a bit more of a chaotic energy. So it's us having the incentive to actually take our projects seriously and start creating a business plan. Because I'm getting that you're going to need it, like maybe over the next couple of years, this money is going to become more obvious to the general public. But if you put this out right now and said, hey, there's a couple of $1 million for each of you to start up humanitarian projects. What do you think a lot of people would do? Are they going to operate with the same degree of care and ethics and partnering and collaboration and building new earth frequency, or are they just going to all go off on some, random trajectory? So that's my rant done.
Second rant complete. Okay, so yes, the Zoom Humanitarian Project meetings have been happening every Saturday at 2 p.m. Central Time from Arcana Shores Tarot Card Channel. Beautiful.
Yes, and I've been hearing about this.
Well done.
I've been hearing about these different groups, and so my suggestion is go the next level, get your plans ready, like actually an established business plan with steps, several steps, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and then begin, like, be ready to jump when you see the place that you can access the funds from.
Ah, right. So do you have your business plans, blueprints, projections, and all of that in alignment and ready to rock and roll? I did pull a card on whether there was grants or funding available, and I got the Magician. So it feels like we already have all the tools that are necessary. It is actually just getting the communication out there to access the tools. So I think that Mom is pretty spot on with that. And I look forward to being here, supporting and continuing to hear how this humanitarian project is going. And Ricky, we always so appreciate you and your energy and all that you do with the earth. And thank you for being here always with us. And let's move on to the next question. Now, I know Adele had a question way back here. Check the energy and intentions around a YouTube website called the Stargate Experience. I used to do meditations with this group until they mentioned you.
Okay, is that? Yeah.
Let's pull a couple cards on that.
A couple cards on that. Just maybe a 3.
I'm gonna have you shuffle on that, Mama.
Sure thing.
Yeah, and I'll cut it.
Sure thing.
So would it be possible to check the energy and intentions around a YouTube website?
You know what? I'm just going to pause for a second.
Mom's going to pause.
I need to go back and finish with that last question. There was one more piece that I was intuiting.
Okay. And
what I was intuiting is that because of that Knight of Wands in the center, I feel as though there's going to be a priority to actually bring humanitarian aid in our communities first, as opposed to setting up these projects. And I know it's one and the same, but it's almost like triage. I'm almost getting that in the Trump administration, the first order priority is going to be doing more of a triage kind of, first wave of needing to apply humanitarian efforts and funding to some frontline stuff that needs to get dealt with first. So not to be discouraged by that. And in the meantime, also to prepare your business plans, get your partnership connections in terms of, collaborative people that you want to work with, get that going and be ready. And possibly even look to funding sources that are already in place to start. You might not get your big 2 million amount, but you might get enough to run your first 6 months or year with a pilot project version of what you want to do. And that is what really feels important. Okay, we're doing 3 cards on the question about this YouTube website called the Stargate Experience. And whether or not
what the energy of it is.
The energy is, and is this good? Well, good. That's such a relative word, isn't it? My apologies. My brain is a little fried today. I've just been going so full on. Is this valuable, supportive, and helpful going forward? Adele, I don't know about you, Crystal, but I'm feeling a pretty good yes.
I feel yes. I feel
Yeah.
yes. I feel that they certainly have something to offer. It may require like continuous sort of adjustment from you to like honor what resonates with you and what doesn't, and then from there create your own meditations, your own kind of routines and habits and ways forward, sort of honoring what the group brings, and then taking it in and turning it into what you would like to take forward from there.
Yeah.
Is
Sounds amazing, Crystal.
what I see. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for your question, Adele.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to Lorna Beebe now. And what do you see for public disclosure on the of all kinds, adults and children? Woo, woo, woo.
Yes. Right.
Well, I mean, obviously, we are looking at there's going to be some larger disclosure as a result of Trump's bold move to disconnect from the WHO and, you know, citing the major reason as being the mishandling of the COVID-19 scenario. And then, that, you know, prioritizing their reparation, at least for the military in the US, to be, you know, reinstated in their positions with back pay. So these are pretty bold statements and pretty bold maneuvers that are definitely going to get the wheels in motion. What I'm feeling is it's less about go ahead and lay the cards out, Crystal.
I'm gonna get you to do some.
Okay. What
Put
I'm
you in there
feeling,
too.
what I'm feeling is that it's less actually about like the timing and the amount of disclosure. Because just I always say this about the disclosure with 9/11. It's like by the time it was coming out on the mainstream channels and there was a consensus that there was at least a degree of inside job going on 9/11, people had just moved on. And it was almost like they were like, oh yeah, whatever, I know that was they didn't connect the dots, right? It's not like, oh, if 9/11 was a hoax, then so is this, so is this, so is this. It's just kind of becomes this ongoing burden of like, okay, it's all corrupt. Who cares? What do we do about it? Right? That sort of energy. I think what's really going to be different with this, look at this drum roll. Oh my gosh, this is so cool, you guys.
It's pretty cool.
So cool. What's going to be different with this is that it's the government standing right up front, making these bold declarations and statements. And what that, you know, a lot of people could just go, oh, that's, you know, the Trump, they're crazy, they're a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists, and just like write it off. But what happens, you see, is if people feel, if let's say nurses, doctors, first responders, all these different, you know, like scientists, psychologists, if all those people that have been holding their tongue for fear of persecution and literally like having their whole livelihoods annihilated, right? If they feel safe to come out now and speak, we're just going to see this onslaught of actual whistleblowing, public disclosure from average, well, not only average people, but all kinds of people are going to feel safe to tell their injury stories, to tell their personal stories where, you know, and it's that wave of everybody feeling confident to come out in the open, out in the sun, that is going to create this huge awakening. Because if it's just, you know, the Trump administration saying these things, right? Or, you know, our beautiful Kennedy Jr. there saying these things, people just, oh, that's conspiracy theorists. But if they just start hearing all their friends and so many people in the public sphere coming out of the woodwork everywhere and telling their story, that is what's going to tip the scales.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's an opportunity to look at the big picture here. I feel like there's going to be, just like Mom said, a lot of diversified amounts of people coming forward with information, and everybody's going to wait until that like perfect moment to step into the light and share their stories, share the challenge and the healing that has come from this whole journey, and really stepping into the fact that what has been done and what we've undergone has completely shifted our legacy of who we are as human beings and what we're leaving for these children that are yet to come. And so we really are going, I think there's going to be a lot of working with how this has impacted the children, and focusing more so on the healing of them and how we can honor them kind of going forward, because this is all about, I mean, we've been steeped in a lot of this stew for a long time, right? So now it's like, how do we change it from here going forward? And they're going to say, I can't, we can, people are going to start waking up to like, we can't leave this world this way for our children. And we need to be working together to shed light on these people that are maybe still unsure of what direction to take here, like the hangman, right?
So,
when to step forward.
yeah, so what I'm being shown here is with that sun in the middle, the sun being like bringing brightness and clarity, very positive card, super encouraging. That's in the present moment with regard to your question. And that 10 of Pentacles, there may even be some reparation payments that start coming out. We might see a lot of money allocated to, not only restructuring healthcare, but reparation for vaccine injury, right?
Yeah.
And so interesting that we are also like the timing, like Crystal was saying, I feel like there's going to be a really big, bright light shone on this, possibly even for the next, several months for sure, like 3 or 4 months for sure. And then we need to back off and let it percolate, because almost I get that people are going to be a bit stunned. Like, it's sort of like a disassociative revelation is what I'm being shown. Like people are going to just need some time to process as it's starting to really come forward. So we don't want to just keep hammering and hammering and hammering and hammering. It might actually go against the cause. We want to like let this come out, and then it might be like a bit of a hush, like cricket silence after that. Like you might just be like, you might be expecting all the people that have been asleep to just be panicking and like freaking out and saying all this stuff. And it's almost like they're going to go dormant. They're going to go quiet. And instead of attacking them, let them have their process time. Because it feels like that's a healthy way to integrate this revelation. And they're going to start within their own families. They're going to be like, oh no, with their partners, with their like siblings and children and closest friends and so on. It's going to be very like intimate to begin with. They're not going to know what to do. They're just going to feel very like, wow, they have to let that sink in. So
Beautiful.
let's let it sink in, folks. Let's let it sink in, because you're going to get a so much better, like if you go at them while they're still processing and you start attacking or like trying to push them, we might end up with another polarized backlash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, Dala's saying hopefully new technologies, healing technologies will come out to support this. And Susan is saying, have a feeling Russia will play a big role in the healing and treatments for many injuries.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah. Yep. So we did have a question up here.
Yeah, there was one right up. Hold on, Mama.
Electric Girl, I think.
Yeah.
There, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, Terra papers. Are they an accurate description of the suppressed history of humans? Info presented by Robert Morning Sky, Hopi Apache, who's been censored. Okay, let's have a look at that.
Terra papers, an accurate description. What are your thoughts, Electrical Girl?
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious as to what your intuition might say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a look. Well, income taxes.
That's a good one. We want the answer to that one too.
Yeah.
We often come on these and we're like, oh, good, we get to look at that, because if we just sit at our kitchen table and do it, it just doesn't have the same potency, I have to tell you. I mean, it's good. Sometimes
we're pretty
get...
potent, actually. Not gonna lie. Our morning coffee chats. We need to start recording those.
Yeah,
that's like
definitely.
Next level. I'm gonna pull 3 on this.
Okay.
Let's have a look. Okay, so we'll start with those. Let's see here.
And interesting, the cards are leaning sideways. It's like,
these are slippery cards right now. They don't want to stick anywhere. Okay. Description or express history. So I get that the Terra papers were probably important to be exposed. And were they an accurate description of our suppressed? Probably. However, that coming to light, it seems like some of that information had to kind of go back underground again, because of, like it said here, the Apache man who's been censored because of kind of like the kind of veil that they wanted to pull over people's eyes. So in order to keep the information safe, it had to kind of go underground again. So it's interesting, right? The Apache man the Hopi Apache man being censored, it's like you could look at it as something that they did to him, and almost kind of like the universe does things to us, but then it's also somewhat for our own good, right? Because there was all of this that was kind of the mess that was kind of coming forward.
Yeah, and I get almost like it was a bit too soon.
Yeah.
And also he, as a healer, medicine man, purveyor of this wisdom, he had to go through a bit more of his own initiatory work. So that, because you see what's going to happen and is happening, and myself and Janine and a lot of us that are on a spiritual journey and also in a political angle in the world, we are getting tested hugely. We are having like really big, I'm just thinking, Pamela Gregory got, cyber hacked and so on. And, I'm kind of, knock on wood, I presume these things are in the works for all of us that are doing this kind of work. And instead of seeing it as like, oh, the dark force is just out to like, capture and eliminate all of this. My sense, like Crystal said, is this is actually, we're being trained to actually not only share wisdom, but live the warrior wisdom path. So any place that we are not in integral alignment with the teachings that we're bringing out, we have to work on that, because that's our weak spot. And that's the thing where you see things, with people who are influencers, and then they have one area, like this fellow might have a little, skeleton in his closet, a little bit of shadow, don't we all, right? And so that could trip up the whole thing. Everybody could throw his whole wisdom out because he had a failing as a person. That's what we're up against right now, folks. For those of us that are leaders and having spiritual, like we have spiritual work and wisdom to bring forward to the masses, we have to be in complete integrity in ourselves, or the work will get ripped down with us as we get attacked. And it's not just dark energy out to get us. It's actually like, it's our own soul. As Crystal said, this is our soul saying, it's time to practice what you preach, live from the place that you're, like Christ didn't go around and like be this terrible sinner this lifetime. Right? He worked through so much of that. He never professed any sort of wisdom without living it. Now, I know we're talking about history here, but it's also the ethics of spiritual history. So it's very much tied up into a person's spiritual integrity and how they walk in the world. And I'm not criticizing this man at all. We all have weak spots. I actually see he's such a powerful warrior.
Yeah, I feel like also in the answer to are they an accurate description of suppressed history of humans creation? Um, it's like in order for us to know that, we have to really look at suppression. We have to really look at, like Mom said, these parts of ourselves that still need to be healed from that. And there's still like we're still at a bit of a crossroads with that. So I think probably in the next couple of years you're going to start seeing more ability to access the truths behind um, what might be behind this, and perhaps maybe this Hopi man will be able to come forward again with new learned information
Yes.
as he goes deeper into his spiritual path and his strength. We're just at a bit of a waiting period on that right now.
Doesn't this remind you, Crystal, of when we do readings and we often will say, okay, so we got a piece of information that led us in a certain direction, but then we ended up getting later on an additional piece of information that actually was slightly different and led us in a slightly new direction. So what I'm almost getting with this is that, is it the whole truth? It's an accurate, full description of our suppressed history. I think it's one part of that.
Nice.
And if we take it as being that's how you categorize truth about human history, we're going to miss the other side of it. So we want to not just attach to these things. And Crystal made a really good point earlier, just before we came on our show here today. She said, all of this energy around needing to know every single detail and nuance of, what the maneuvers of the Trump administration are going to be and why and where that comes from. And we love our allies at Beyond Mystic for taking the time and having the courage to dig and keep just
speak to it,
bringing all that information up.
Yeah.
And what we're wanting also, just like this, we're wanting to say that's half of it. That's half of what needs to happen. We need to see reality and the diverse realities that are there, that are under and hidden. But to make sense of those realities, we can't get attached to any one of them as being the path, the right answer. Because a lot of times there's two things going on, almost could appear to be in opposition to each other. And if we say, well, that's the true narrative and this one isn't, it's almost like these narratives balance each other as we get closer and closer to the greater truths. Yeah. Where once we get to that point, there's no need to explore the details, if that makes sense to you. So we're just working our way through right now with all these breadcrumbs, and it's important not to just angle yourself in one direction and go, that's the truth.
Well, we want truths because they help us we've been programmed that truths are controllable and that we will feel more safe when we know what is happening. And that's a false sense of security because there's always multiple layers to it. And like Mom said, it's like natural law of the lightness and the darkness. There will always be multiple sides and different angles to come at things from. So beautiful.
Just when we get feeling like, safe in our version of the truth, something comes to dispel it. So the idea is, can you hold that and other things at the same time? And I think that's the sweet spot that we're referring to. It's not about this or that. It's about this and that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This, that, and everything else. Okay. Taxes. Mm-hmm. Bum, bum, bum. Heaven help us.
Susan, I'm looking at your question below this and I'm like already there just yeah, getting insights about that.
Yeah. So these will probably be the last two that we take. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. And we're sorry we got to leave early, but it's to do all the amazing things that we do. And Mary, we're looking so forward to seeing you this afternoon as well. Oh my goodness. Yay.
Come in on a really big potent
Woo!
day.
How special is that? When will the income taxes be gone? You want to split the deck on that?
There's our
Now you know it's there.
devil, there's
Okay.
our devil at the bottom. We have to not make so much noise on the table and put some kind of cloth down to because
Did someone say
Jean-Claude-
something about that?
Yeah, Jean-Claude
Oh, I
was like,
know.
it's so loud, don't do it, don't do it. Sorry
Oh,
about
I know,
that,
it's
everybody.
true. It's true, y'all. It's because this is our mic, is our camera.
Yeah,
You know, we're working on things.
we are, and he's still
we
there.
we have a second camera now, so that's cool. Evolution is slow with
It's
us.
all relative.
Mom wants that devil to be there. She's like, I know you're there. You're sticking around.
We
When
gotta
will
laugh about
taxes be
this.
gone? Oh.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, fucking right. Oh, excuse me. Okay, you guys. No small questions.
We need the fan.
Yeah.
It's like, are you kidding me?
You need
Sorry,
to be
you
like
even
those
got a
ladies in the
swear
South
word out
going
of-
to church.
You even got a swear
Y'all
word
don't
out of
know that part of me.
Crystal. Whoopsie. I don't
Okay.
get flagged for that.
Flagged, come on. People swear on YouTube all the time.
Okay.
Okay,
So
pardon us for being so silly here. Taxes get us all worked up.
this is the best. I couldn't imagine actually a better bunch of cards to say, hell yes.
It's coming.
This is on its way out. It is coming down. It is coming down. Now, I think, Lisa, you didn't say where you are. Is this Canada? Is this the US? Or is this Europe? Where is it exactly? Maybe you want to just quickly jump in and say that. Susan's like, you girls are free that. Thanks, Ethan.
Thanks, Ethan. Someday we'll meet each other and you'll see I actually swear a lot.
Oh, she's in Texas. Okay.
Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, yeah, Lisa. It's gone. It's gone, honey. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's do some really radical speculating here. I mean, I think it's actually been gone. We got 3 tens. The blessing of endings.
Beautiful.
It is done and dusted. So let's, oh no, that's not a 10, that's a 6. 2 tens, mastery of the ending. Okay. Pretty much done and dusted. Not quite as good as it would have been with 3 tens, but this is, let's say, beginning speculation within the next 10 weeks, certainly within the next 10 months, but I would almost say sooner. I think maybe 10 weeks.
Will we have to pay this month?
I think so.
Probably.
Yeah, I think just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like, let's just look at 10 weeks. Let's look at 10 weeks. And you know, the end is in sight, right? It's coming down. So this is personal. This is your personal choice, right? Like, we're not saying you have to pay. We're just saying that technically there is still a system, and the wisdom just said, like, you know, make your peace with that, whatever feels right for you. Basically, it's not about
taxes in Canada.
I think this is going to affect the whole world.
Yeah.
I think this is going to ripple out because there's going to be tax revolts globally as a result of what's happening in the US. So
I would say, again, for me to say, if taxes go out, what do you do with that money? So say, if you know how much taxes are, what is the way that you would reinvest that income? What kind of community projects, what kind of reciprocity, how would that money that was originally meant to support, you know, a lot of people want to pay their taxes for their community. Let's be honest, that's not really where it's going. And so what happens with that extra? What do we do with it? Let's start imagining what that would look like, because as the system disintegrates and explodes and implodes on itself, thank goodness, there's going to be a lot of like coming back to the Earth Mother is inviting us to go, what do you do with your value? How do you honor our relationships with each other and with the earth, right? And we're going to take baby steps afterwards to building this new vision forward. And so
yeah,
what do
I
we
love
do with
what
that?
Crystal's saying. It's almost like pick up the baton before it drops on the ground. Like just
Mhm.
grab the mic. Grab the mic. It's
Mhm.
like, let's go in a new direction with this. And so yeah, and there's lots of comments coming in here about, it's already done and dusted, like they're
Mhm.
gone. So,
Mhm.
obviously we're not going to advise you yay or nay, particularly.
Mhm.
I guess what we were seeing with that emperor there is there's still that system in place. You're still going to get messages and you're still going to,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff is what we're trying to
Mhm.
say. We're not saying don't or do. This is a personal choice, obviously, but we're saying this is so close to being shut down. And isn't that exciting,
Isn't it
everybody?
exciting?
Isn't it exciting? Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
I am
So we're all
stoked.
learning like how to take the steps to not pay perhaps, and what that looks like, and how do we become knowledgeable about what these systems are like, and what we can do as they go out, and how we start taking those steps forward now. So it's a lot of us being empowered in visioning the world, what it looks like, and how we get away from that, because we're pretty powerful, us beings, right? And this
Absolutely.
card here, this is like the over the rainbow, like the better than you could imagine card, right? So if anything is possible, what is it that, how does it look where it's like better than we could have dreamed? So let's start dreaming and make it that and better.
So true. So true. I'm trying to find that last question. Where the heck
It was
is
from
it?
Susan,
Susan?
wasn't it? Let me help you.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. Question.
There it is. Got it.
I'm on it, people.
Did they? This is so interesting. Did they at some point release a memory removal serum or similar so that our humans were reset to into socially engineer us and the alignment of the 7 planets restoring our memories? I just, the guys, as soon as I read that question, I heard this like kind of like yelling coming from like the portal of our guides saying, yeah, it was called television.
Right.
Like, did they at some point release a memory removal serum? Yeah. It wasn't a serum, it was called television. Yeah. So pick your poison, folks. There's been non-stop memory removal serum. Non-stop in every aspect. Mentally, physically, emotionally, psychically, psychologically. Probably the biggest.
Just got it.
Okay. Probably the biggest overall conspiracy.
Put it back to this one. Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
biggest overall conspiracy to me has just been the onslaught of coming at every one of the aspects of our human experience, our human dignity, our human history, and so on. And just, yeah, like it's come at us, it's bombarded us from every level. So it's almost like what I'm hearing, Susan, is that they didn't need necessarily a serum. If anything, that would be kind of classified in the realm of all the, the sprays and what is that terrible substance that they put in all the food and everything that, can't remember.
Roundup?
No,
Glyphosate?
yeah, glyphosate. Yeah, like those kinds of things. That's what I'm hearing. And then aluminum, and then spraying the skies with aluminum and barium and cadmium and all the stuff, right? It's like, just pick a poison. It's across refined sugar, at getting us addicted to all different kinds of drugs. It's all about removing our ability to, first of all, perceive with wisdom interdimensionally, to have our psychic, our pineal open, and then to have access not only to these memories of this lifetime, but to almost like our subconscious memory bank that connects us to, our the Akashic records and the memories of all our lives through all the dimensions and all our different versions of humanity on this planet. So, holy, yeah, but it was so interesting that the first thing that came kind of barreling down the pipe at me when I read your question was television, one of the most successful memory eradicating devices ever put out. And of course, now that continues with all of our, media, movie streaming platforms and so on. It's like you can design memories. You ever notice that we'll leave you with this thought? Have you ever noticed when we...
Well, wait, I have a lot to say on
Okay.
all the things that you're saying. She's going to leave you with that thought.
You go ahead. You go
No,
ahead.
no, no,
and then
no.
I'll leave. No, I want the last word. She's going to beat me up after.
Bam. Okay. So it's interesting. And I always kind of come back to who is this they? And the they is us, to a certain extent, right? And so, yes, we've been put to sleep for a reason, because we needed to have this amnesia to come, because the mind and that higher knowledge is such a powerful thing. It's such a powerful tool. We needed to put that mind to rest, to really come into our hearts and our emotions, because there's a lot of healing that needed to happen. So now we're starting to wake up to what we're capable of when we release the attachments to our memories and our minds and that higher source power of ours. And when we come into the honoring of our hearts and come into the essence of pure love frequency, outside of all that we know and all that we're attached to. So yes, as Mom said, there is all of these things to knock us out, to distract us, to shut down our higher learning and our knowledge. And it's what we've asked for. In a way, there is something here that is going, yes, okay, so you are learning all the lessons that you're meant to through this journey into stepping into your hearts, stepping into the healing. And I'm going to pull a couple more, and then and then Mom can have the last word.
Oh, there's that devil.
Right? Exactly. Oh, okay. So just hold on a minute. Okay, so then from there, we go from this place of heart-centered, healed aspects of ourselves. We then make the choice, because it is now clear. We've started to wake up. We're starting to see. We know what the darkness looks like. We know what being asleep feels like now, right? And so it's like now we are making the choice to take this new journey forward. And
so interesting.
Have the last word.
The last word is something that has really been a bone of contention for me from the time I was really a little kid. Actually, I saw through this long, long, long ago. And if you notice, when you ask adults about their childhood memories, often they will tell a story that they heard told about them, right? It'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this time when I was 4 and this and this and this happened. And a lot of times people will even say, well, I'm not sure if I remember it, or I just remember my family telling the story. Right? How many of you have experienced that? Like, do you actually have a memory of your childhood, or do you remember being told something and that has now become part of your lexicon, your narrative of who you are? It's like, that's my memory. I was told that, and I actually remember, like, I'm sure it happened.
Mm.
I would swear in a Bible or whatever my version of, you know, integral truth serum, I would say, yeah, I remember that. But this is where we are so easily programmed with programmable memories, is when we don't remember, or they're so. This is why I think it's important to gather a whole variety of different stories, mythologies, different versions of history, and you start to put together the common themes. And then you're like, it's sort of like going to all of your older siblings or family members and saying, what do you think happened that day? And they all tell you a little bit of a different story. And then you kind of start going, oh yeah, it wasn't the way mom and dad told me. I think there was a lot more to that story, right? That's what we need to be doing. We need to be recreating our memories of who we actually are, what our authentic history is. There's not going to be one version of it. We are going to have to sift through all this different material and begin to like tune in with what is our heart's memory, right? Because
Mm.
what I've noticed and what I really believe, because I've been an avid alternative history researcher for, well, since Crystal was a baby, she remembers it, which is
Apparently.
a long time ago.
So you
No,
tell
I'm
me.
kidding.
I remember what you've told me.
Anyway, we're like this all the time, believe it. You know, looking at all that information, what I've started to notice is that there is so much layers and layers and layers of complex information. And I can now see clearly when different academic schools of thought, different political agendas, when they start hijacking that information, they can find all kinds of evidence to support their narrative of true history. Tons. And they can find all these reasons why someone else's narrative is not true.
Mm.
So it feels to me like when we look at this double here, what we want to do is say, in our hearts, does it feel like, because this is the thing, I'm getting to the point that's always bugged me. I don't believe that humanity has always been this violent, low frequency, survival oriented, you know, like, yeah, living in extremes and just like barely eking out survival. That has never fully resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've lived a lot simpler lives that appear more primitive, but I think the complexity and the grandness of our human experience is way beyond what the way these stories are told back to us. They're told with a bias. The humans are like weak, that we have at the core of our nature is like, you know, we're violent,
Mm-hmm.
we're aggressive, we're greedy. And I call BS on that. And we can choose.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of those, you know, I mean, I love some of the dramatizations in those stories, like, you know, Vikings and King of Thrones or whatever that's called, that thing called Game of Thrones. Yeah, that thing. You know, I love some of the dramatization and the mythology and the history and the storylines and all of that. But it just starts to, the whole thing always ends up looking like the same narrative, which is the same when you watch ancient history channels and stuff. Humans were so evil and violent and just so, it's like, I feel as though we've bought into a version of history and there's truth in it, but it's not the whole truth. And at its core, the human history is a lot more complex and essentially beautiful. So that's my big rant at the end.
I love how we try to be done early, but we're not. 5 minutes.
Okay.
So much love to all of you. Thank you so much for
Definitely,
being here,
definitely.
everyone. It's just such an honor and a pleasure. And we will see you here next Tuesday. For all the questions that didn't get answered, write them down, bring them to the next.
Put them in, the bold letters really helps because we can just scroll up and find them. So
amazing. Blessings to you all.
everybody. Bye for now.